Homegrown is a creativity and wellbeing program for women who are in the justice system. Homegrown is building a community that values lived experience and supports women to take space for ourselves and find ways of sharing our stories through different art forms. This audio journey has been crafted with love by the Homegrown Collective. We created this podcast to control our own narrative, to tell our own stories, to be who we are on our own terms. Each episode you'll hear more about the work we do and the community we are building.
In this episode, we are talking about community, collaboration, and the many different parts to the creative process. We end up with Kotahitanga in action. It takes a community to build a community. Everything Homegrown achieves is because of the many hands, minds, and hearts that bring it all together. We believe that in collaborating with each other, artists, participants, organisations, and partners, Homegrown becomes what it needs to be. Why does this matter? Because we are a collective. We are all part of the family. We all have gifts and magic to share, and collaboration is the key to the exchange of knowledge.
Haki roto, haki waho, haki roto, haki waho. Nau mai ngā hua, nau mai ngā pai, nau mai kia nui, kia hāwere ai. Welcome all things that have grown, welcome all things that are good. May they be plentiful and abundant.
Homegrown supports women through creative arts and wellbeing practices, carving out space in the community or a prison, supporting the transition between prisons and the communities, helping them come back to the wider world and carve out their own space, or maintain the creative practices if they do return to prison. Why do we co-create with women in the room? Well, if you create in isolation, you do what you think is best. When you co-create, you create solutions with and not for. We do have our cornerstones of practice. For example, encouraging wāhine to shape their own healing processes means collaborating on solutions rather than imposing them. When we ensure that wāhine are integral to designing and implementing their own support systems, they can focus on personal growth and well-being, which in turn benefits their whānau long-term.
Today I see a unicorn, an empty hinaki, genuine contributions, colours, gladness, everything is yummy, clay. Today I hear violin, Kura's voice in my head. It's so nice to hear laughter. Kettle settled. I want to hear the splashing of tuna going into the hinaki net, the boil dissipating, sweet notes and melodies, light breath. Today I hear what goes up must come down. Today I feel complete. Joy, relaxed, content, full. Healing, inspired, connected. Like I got another dose of rongoa.
We collaborate in lots of different ways with all sorts of creative practice. You just heard a collective poem we made during a Matariki program in 2024. Dr. Ruby Solly, an exceptional musician and a writer with a PhD in public health for her thesis on the use of taonga puoro within hauora Māori. We are lucky, hey? You'll hear more of these instruments through this episode. We often make collective artworks based on random expression. We reflect on what it shows us, and then we transition into intentional art making.
Let's just take a moment to look around and find little treasures in our collective artwork. And just notice what changed, what's new, what can you find in common.
Oh, somebody made this a flower. That's cool. I like that.
What did it start as?
I started it off just going like that.
Oh, cute.
And then somebody's come in and added these. Sunflower.
Oh, cute.
Wonder who that was.
Cute.
No.
Mine's all the love hearts and red. Yep.
So what can you see?
Colour. Lots of lots of individual thoughts.
Can see some words on there now.
Words.
Yeah. I like this. With the super wāhine. Because we are all super.
I see a roller coaster.
Awesome.
Oh, cool.
That's what a dream world.
This looks like Powerpuff Girls, like headquarters or something.
I mean, pretty much.
That was Vane, a master student of art therapy. Vane is on placement with us, leading a group through a collective mark-making process and then reflecting on what we have created. We collaborate with arts organisations in our city, but also in different towns, like with Hoia in Tūranganuia, Kiwa, Gisborne. Here is the sound of the crushing rocks and dirt on a workshop on making paint with whenua, land, with Melanie Tangairi Baldwin. The sharing of this kind of knowledge is more than just a workshop. It is a gateway to ancestral knowledge. We are literally collaborating with the whenua, the earth we stand on.
Where's the water?
We use all sorts of ways to be creative, dance, music, painting, weaving, so that each person can find their own portal to the magic of creative expression. So we need to have strong collaborators that can sit side by side with us and share their skills. Michelle Hinekura-Kerr takes us through a weaving workshop. Her whole family are master weavers, and again, aren't we so lucky?
What else comes out of the photograph? A chill vibe. So when we're weaving, we try and you put yourself into the weaving and you let whatever is bothering you go. Yeah. And sometimes when you're weaving, you just do that anyway because you're concentrating on your work. But it might not feel like it now because you're concentrating so hard. But like after your 20th bangle, you'll be like, yeah, I'm chilled out now.
Another way we work is by exchanging our pieces of art for a creative response. We collab with artists like Sasha, Ella and Tristan from Java Dance Theatre. They will take any kind of art form, a poem, a woven kete or bag, a painting, and perform their interpretation of the creative energy back to the participant that made it. It is one of the most awe-inspiring things to witness. So let's dive into a conversation with Sasha, director of Java, and Anna, Homeground creative producer, about the journey they've been on with Homeground and what it means to be a collaborating artist with the Homeground crew.
Kia ora, I'm Sasha, no Ngāti Pākehā hau. I whakapapa to the UK and Poland, and I'm a choreographer and dancer. I've been doing that for 20 years, and I've just been teaching 14-year-old boys at St Patrick's School. So we're doing a project called My Dance Whakapapa, where they all think about the dances that their grandparents have done, and then they make their own dances inspired from that. So yeah, quite a loud morning, actually, but yeah, really beautiful and awesome to see how much movement they want to make. I think it's changed. It's great.
Oh, awesome.
It's really cool, yeah.
What was your favourite move today?
Oh man, they can move so fast sideways without moving their feet. I think it's a craze. It's like a craze on TikTok maybe. But yeah, it's like
crab dance.
Yeah, it's amazing. And they all do it quite differently as well. So that was cool. But they were doing sort of variations and adding their moves to it.
Now, Sasha, you're our probably longest running collaborator at this point, doing movement and sort of interpreting women's artwork and then performing them back to us. But you've done a lot of different workshops. So maybe we'll start with you.
Yeah, I do remember the first workshop. It actually didn't go well. But man, I learnt heaps from it. Because, you know, dance is so massively about connection. So I sort of went in there, sort of really dived in and got everyone to connect straight away. But it's quite confrontational. Dance is confrontational. So, I think what I really learnt, and I'm learning from that, is like people do need to connect to themselves first and like find their own feet planted on the ground, find their own breath, get comfortable with their own bodies in the space before it bounces off someone else too intensely. So yeah, I learned that. But it's been a while now collaborating in different ways.
Yeah, that's cool. And what do you think? What do you think you brought to the table? Was it more like choreography, or was it like teaching people about dance? What was your initial idea?
It was dance, but I guess what I think of as dance is a little bit of joy and goofiness first. You have to bring that first, just because it shakes up the air and changes the room a little bit. But also just dance being about being able to understand people, so reading people, I guess. Because I'm a choreographer, but I'm really interested in how people tick physically, how people communicate physically, all the kind of subtleties in how we, which you can't see on radio, but I'm sure you can feel, with how we use our body language to communicate. So I think I brought that, being able to work with the women and respond to them and where they are and who they are.
Oh, awesome.
Hopefully.
Yeah, no, absolutely awesome. And I think that whole thing about connecting to yourselves and I often think about prison spaces or justice spaces. You spend so much time reading the room, you know, connecting through eyes, communicating in really subtle ways. That is body language, that is eyes, that is this intuition that you have. And I think sometimes people take for granted how conditioned you can be in those spaces. So when you come into the community and work with things as different as movement or your body, it does take a really special person to be able to guide you through that. Yeah, so just big shout out to you and Java for guiding so many women through that, because you've been working with us for like 5 years. So it's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a massive gift for us.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks.
Well, it's impacted us a lot too, which has been great.
How do you reckon?
Understanding trauma-informed practice better. Oh, yeah. Super useful in any room, man. Like it just actually taking the time to analyse what might be happening for people and how to work with that a bit more specifically was really useful. And also just for ourselves being able to, sometimes slow down and understand whatever's happening with our bodies as well has been really useful. It kind of applies to everything.
What do you think you bring to the table now as an artist, like working in the justice system?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think responsiveness is always really key, like just being able to respond to the people. It's great to have a plan going in, but I think it's better if you know how to throw away that plan if it's not the right thing. Especially energetically, where people are at energetically each day is so different, right? So, and you can shift energy a little bit and that can be really useful, but being able to find a meeting point for that energy, however it is each day, I think is really great. Also just a little bit of rhythm. I'm really into rhythm at the moment, like sort of clapping patterns and I think there's something really healing about rhythm, just that kind of call and response, everyone locking into the same thing. So yeah, thinking about how that might be applied a bit more too.
What's a surprise you've had working with our crew or in this mahi generally?
Yeah, I think actually the softness has been the surprise. I think because, yeah, maybe it is to do with assumptions. You come in with this idea that things are going to be not hard as in difficult, but have kind of a brittleness or a hardness to maybe the energy or to the way people interact or to where everything is at. But it's, I don't know, it feels to me the opposite, and maybe that's to do with the space Homeground has really facilitated as well, is like and that the need is actually for that space to process or that softness or that, I don't know, feeling of washing. Water comes up all the time, which is really specific, but that was a real revelation, because obviously water's important, but to really tangibly, like viscerally feel in the women's writing and in their visuals how much water comes up and just actually how powerful that is. Yeah, and how healing the sensory world can be. Like, I just remember one of the wāhine talking about how being inside you are so sensorily deprived, and when it was about to rain, how everyone in the prison would be able to feel that and smell that, just because there's so few other smells. And yeah, it's such a fundamentally human thing. So just those, I guess, those more subtle things, and how those things bring a softness when you can reconnect to them. And that, yeah, in a way, it's one of the softest spaces I've ever been in. Which, you know, if you kind of take the cliche or the bad movies about it, that's not what you really see. So it's like, yeah, that it kind of fascinates me, actually, that space can be created, because it's also a space of deep hope, I think.
What do you think a win for Homeground, or for your work with Homeground in the spaces?
Oh, I reckon actual change is a win. You know, I do think there are a lot of programs that want to do particular things, but it's really hard to do some things. And like, Homeground is so holistic. And I think that's a real testament to you, Jackie, and to Anna. It's like, it's so holistic. Like, you know, people don't walk in the room and have to reduce themselves in any way. And I think for a program like this to have an impact, to have any wins, I think that's really essential. So being able to be a small part of something that is actually holistic and actually see change. So see, you know, women who might have only been out of prison for a few weeks, sometimes when they do a program, and to see that transformation over time, which is them. It's not us, it's them. But to see and be part of a transformation that's already started, but that has space to actually happen, and happen really fully. Or sometimes happen a little bit, or sometimes begin. To see actual change. One, it actually gives me goosebumps. It makes me happy that it's possible to have change. I've had some arguments with various different people about how possible change is. And then I've been called an idealist at times, and I like being part of a program where it's tangible, man. It's like, it is idealistic, but it's real, and you see it happen, and you see these women who are epic, you know, become leaders, start facilitating, but move into the leaders they always were, become facilitators of programs. And when that happens, they also bring a depth of understanding that, just from life experience, that is, makes me feel quite humble, I think.
And what do you guys think when that political realm shifted at the end of 2023? What do you think the impact on our kind of mahi might be? Or like, did you have any fears around that when the change of government came in?
Yeah, I mean, that is my response, is that it instills fear. It's like when it's kind of these big unknowns. It's the new government making big brash promises, and so it's a kind of response, emotional responses to those, which are usually, sad and mixed in with anger, disbelief. So it's responding to them, and then it's also just the fear of, will they follow through? What is that actually going to look like for the woman we're working with? Tangible things like, will we still be funded? So will we still be able to do this work? We're already seeing that Arohata, the numbers of women in prison has risen substantially since the government change, which is not many months really for that to have happened. It's pretty much full now, which is huge. That's like, yeah. So I think in general it's instilling this fear, which is just clogging up our space, which could be used for doing more productive things. But the fear of the unknown.
Sasha, what's your thoughts in terms of that wider sort of arts context and justice?
It takes so long to build things, and this government, from my perspective, doesn't want to build things. It's like about paring some things back and making some things smaller. I don't think putting a whole lot more people in prison is building anything. And looking at all the international research around what actually helps in rehabilitation, and it just seems so backwards. Like, to go back and to deconstruct when there's been such amazing building and constructing going on in that space is, it's scary because it's faster to destroy something than it is to create it.
This work does take a toll mentally and emotionally. It can do, and so we just need to surround ourselves with self-compassion and care so that we can continue and be sustainable in this work.
Yeah, you wrote some beautiful things when we were talking about the impact of what does it mean to have consistent funding as an arts organisation and a contractor, and the one that really struck me was when you said that you didn't have to put your kid into after-school care, and super deeply resonated because I think about all our contracting hustle and how much we're asked to put our family aside and how heartbreaking that is. Often, when you're strung out or burnt out or whatever, that's exactly what you need, right? Is the swimming, is the family, is the freedom to do the things that make you feel well. I just really appreciated you saying that.
Well, it's such a tangible example of, from coming from previous work where a contracting, if I was working on an event or a gig, it would be a certain amount of time, really high pressure, where I wouldn't necessarily see my son much. And then you get a low of like, where's the money going to come from? Where's the money going to come from? And then you have another really intense time where you don't see your child. And so actually having this consistent funding literally changes my lifestyle and, how much I can be there for my son, which is impacting me and also him. So that's pretty huge.
Where do the arts sit in terms of trying to change or social change?
I think the arts can tap into feeling, which is what inspires people to make their own little changes themselves. I think to tap into the feelings, I think to inspire hope, and also to give a space for people to express without violence, or they can express their feelings in a way that is more palatable. And also I just think arts can be really bloody fun, which is, when we're talking about all the heaviness and social change and political, it's like that's really freaking important. And Homeground, that's one of our values as well, is actually just to give a space where you can, my most recent project is like completely spangling this cover, and it's like my 9-year-old dream of all these stickers and all of this like glue and nail polish and sparkles. And for me, it's just fun. It's just that's what that is, and that's totally valid, and it's important to bring that to the forefront as well.
For sure. Yeah. What about you, Sasha?
I think we need to be able to imagine other realities, and it's actually hard to do that. And there's heaps of quite strong messages saying, I don't want to quote Margaret Thatcher, but I'm going to, but there is no alternative. Going like that. And I think that message can come across so strongly. And actually, there is always an alternative. And I think the arts are really essential at imagining other realities, at imagining change, at imagining someone else's perspective. It's like it opens up so much of that. I feel so lucky to have been in the arts for such a long time in terms of being able to be really let into other people's perspective, like being let into aspects of tikanga and te ao Māori and being, able to have some experience of that is really genuine, or being let into someone else's worldview by watching a show from their perspective. It's like, that doesn't always happen at a dinner party. But yeah, so being able to be let into each other's perspectives in a way that actually makes the world bigger, because, if you can only think within a sphere, that can be expanded by art. And then we can imagine things beyond ourselves, which if we can't do that, then nothing changes. And I think what you were saying before, Jackie, about whether arts makes change or whether homeground makes social change, it's like one person changing one thought is the beginning of change. So it's like there's so much of that. And then eventually the actual system changes.
I think there's something to be said, like you say, it's like creating a different image of what is possible and bringing joy and those small acts of resistance in a system which seems unchangeable. Yeah. But I feel for me it's the community that is built around it that is what changes the world.
Honouring the silence of where our stories begin, oceans of dreams, mountains of hope, echoes of history guide the path ahead, growing through the storms, reaching for the sky, overcoming each hurdle, we bloom, we rise, underneath the surface, roots of strength unfold, nestled in shared embrace, determined and strong, we stand as one, unbroken.
There are around 700 women currently incarcerated in New Zealand. Compared to New Zealand's population of 5 million, this is a number that we can work with. The impact of incarceration is intergenerational, so it's the family members and the children of the incarcerated parents that also bear and carry the legacy. It costs around $150,000 to keep one woman locked up for a year. In the community, this price tag could get permanent housing, proper mental health services, better addiction and educational services. Corrections treats incarceration as a numbers game, but it's not. These are real people with real lives that are affected in a damaging way. Every single one of those 700 women has potential for change, growth, and could be leaders in their own whānau and community. Imagine if we came together as a community, we collaborated on the solutions, we uplift each other so nobody gets left behind. Sharing our stories, understanding our collective wisdom, building communities, collaborating together, we reach the goal of Kotahitanga.
Check out our social media on homegroundnz.com with links to our Facebook, YouTube and Instagram.